Hello again. We've got another short course truck this time. I got this through nitrorcx.com. This was bought as a almost ready to run, so it needed a battery and a transmitter receiver. So I actually got it for relatively cheap. It's sold as the Track Mayhem. MegaE8 is 8th scale, but it's actually the Himoto Mayhem. I don't know why they changed the name, probably for sale in America, because I've looked on YouTube. There's running videos of it, but no real actual reviews of it. Due to some tire problems, the rims, when I got mine, the rims were actually warped. 2 of them were warped and they wobble. So I'm not going to take it up to full speed yet. It comes with a brushless motor. It's actually 74 millimeters long. So it's a true 8th scale motor. 80 amp ESC compared to the 125, but it still has plenty of power. Plenty of acceleration, punch. Let's get to the actual insides. The body, honestly, to me, looks goofy as hell, but it completely covers everything. If you have a rollover, it protects the wheels, but it is also Lexan, so it's going to flex. So eventually I am going to get a better short course, 1/8 short course body for it. And when you take off the body, you have a second. This is actually a, they call it a dust cover, but this isn't going to stop dust. Basically to stop rocks and things like that from getting up into the, it has a center differential instead of my last short course truck that I'm selling. Is a Hellion Dominus. It was my very first RC vehicle. I had upgraded it, put a lot of hopped up parts on it, like CV joints front and rear, but this one actually comes with CV joints in the front already. Big bore, aluminum capped but plastic body shocks. I like that the spring retainers or the spring cups are actually, they retain the spring pretty far up. So unlike Traxxas, I've had times where I've flipped my Traxxas vehicle over and the spring cup actually popped out. Well, that's no good, because then your entire suspension is going to be off and it's going to want to veer to the left or to the right. Now all you got, there's 2 more clips that hold the, I call it pretty much the rock cover, and it comes off from the back. It has a little tab in the front that goes up under this. The shock mounts are either hardened, I believe it's hardened aluminum. There's a lot of things about this that initially caught my attention. I'm going to upgrade a lot of things on this. It actually comes with capacitors, 2 capacitors built into the ESC for additional punch when you go to get on the gas. It came with banana plugs, but I immediately cut those off and put on XT60. This is my first zippy battery. It's a very good battery thus far. It's a 25C. I accidentally got the compact because the others were a 20C, but I want a 25C, so I'd have 125 amps because it's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 3 cell. So if you do the math, 25C, 5,000 milliamps, C stands for capacity, so 5 amps, 25 times 5 is 125 amps. And like I said, it has a center differential, So you can actually do power slides, and that was pretty cool. That was one of the things that got my attention. The brushless setup got my attention. It also comes with sway bars, which is my very first RC vehicle that actually came with sway bars. I have a touring car and a drift car. Neither one has sway bars. The tie rods for the steering, the link for that is aluminum. Has a 9 kilogram servo, but I'm eventually going to change that out to a metal servo, seeing that this is a 1/8 scale. Very rigid. I mean, it's a very rigid construction. That's good and that's bad. With some parts, you would rather have it flex than snap. Like, I do know the hubs can snap if you cartwheel or something like that, or come down too hard on one wheel. Regular gear differentials, front and back, like again, the center differential is completely contained. The plate that the motor is attached to is 1/4 inch, and then the rest of the plating is actually about 1/8 of an inch. So there's plenty of meat there for all the power. This is a bigger motor than a 10th scale motor, so gonna have to get a Castle motor or something. I mean, I believe it's a I can't remember. It's somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 kV. So it does fine. I don't know what the top speed is yet. I will when I do the editing of the video, I will add that in, but you can actually see this front right tire is bent to one side, and this rear left tire is bent to one side. The radio I'm using for it actually came with my Exceed RC Drift Star, so I'm using that radio. It has throttle dual rates, steering dual rates, throttle trim, steering trim, reverses for the throttle and the steering. I actually like this. This was a decent transmitter for a ready-to-run vehicle, but of course the car came with a nickel metal hydride battery. I don't deal with those. What else? There was a couple things that oh yeah, it does have a Servo Saver, and it has belt crank steering with a Servo Saver. I talked about the sway arms, sway rods, whatever you want to call them. There's several different names. In the front only, it already comes with CV joints. So when you want to upgrade it to CV joints all the way around, all you gotta do is buy another set. It has ball bearings, high-speed ball bearings, front and rear. Well, the whole drivetrain, but they are metal shielded, and I don't think that they can be rebuilt, so I'm going to buy Traxxas or I can't remember, Boca bearings that are rubber sealed, so they can be rebuilt, because my Hellion, I actually had a bearing that got sand in it and it locked up, and the bearings, when I got it out of there, were little hemispheres. The ESC has 5 program settings, so you don't have to stick with what it comes stock. Like you can shut off reverse, the initial punch, brake percentage, all those different things. This is the same chassis that they're going to use for the Truggy. Basically all of them, except this chassis is shorter in from front to back. but I think that's pretty much to go with the rules of short course trucks when you want to race them. But I believe that's really all there is to say. I will say this, the battery tray is quite small. I actually cut off the back because this battery is about a ½ inch longer than the battery tray would allow, so I cut off the very rear portion, and yet again it has these piece of crap Velcro tie downs, which I'm going to have to figure out some way to put a plastic tie down in place to really hold it in place. Definitely get a thick battery instead of a slim battery that's really long. This is basically for the E-Revos because the batteries for those fit into the chassis. All the hardware is actually 2mm or a 1.5, 2 or 2.5mm hex. The what connects the A-arms to the body is actually a steel rod with nuts front and rear. Well, that was, yeah. But it's a pretty well, a lot of people was bashing this, saying, save up your money and get a Traxxas or something like that. Well, Traxxas doesn't offer a setup like this. This is sort of a setup like a Losi with the rear differential, with the center differential in the very center. It's pretty well balanced. It's a little rear heavy, but I mean that's no big deal. I mean the motor is more towards the back, the ESC is in the back, but then you got the battery towards the front. But you also have more beef in the back. You got the body mount. It comes with torsion arms to hold the bulkheads in place. It's actually got a lot of great features, and upgrades are very cheap and very easy to find, like aluminum A-arms and hubs and carriers, casters, caster blocks, carbon fiber chassis you can get for it. Underneath it you can actually see the entire chassis is a carbon reinforced plastic, but up front it actually has 1/8 inch aluminum, hardened aluminum plates to really protect the front when you hit a jump and the springs compress. But you can actually see when I compress the springs, that sway arm is working, so when you go around corners it's not going to want to lean as much. But that's the initial review of this. Any questions, leave them in the comment section, but as I get things done I'll leave it in the text when I edit the video, and as I do upgrades and see what it can really do. I've only ran it twice. I haven't even ran it with a shell on yet because Hurricane Joaquin, I gotta love that damn name, has been right on top of us. So it's been raining nonstop, and even when something says waterproof, I don't trust that, because I mean hell, I spent $284 and I got this while they had a free shipping thing going on. So I ordered it Monday and it got here Friday. A lot of people I've heard, oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, 17mm hubs. So I have already ordered some better tires, some better rims, and I have better tires that I'm going to put on the rims. They're basically pretty much built for mud. They're sort of like paddle tires, but not as aggressive as paddles, I think. Yeah, there's one right there. These are the tires I'm going to have on it. They're wider, but they're the same. Pretty much the same height, but like most stock short course truck, the outer diameter is smaller than the inner diameter, because the inner diameter has to be able to spin without hitting anything that's attached to the hub. Weighs 13 pounds. That's really all there is to say out of the box. I mean, like I said, all I've done is connected XT60 connectors to it. I will mention this. When you first get it, make sure your servo wire for the ESC is put in the right place, because the first time I ran it, it actually grabbed the ESC wire and stripped it some, but thankfully it did not break it, so I was able to fix it. But like I said, the battery, you have to put your own battery and radio unit in it. It's almost ready to run for $284. That was not including shipping, because shipping was free. So, until next time, as I get upgrades, peace.